It's time for another professional series of StarCraft 2. What I got for you today is a best of 3 between a Zerg and a Protoss. Spawning in the top left corner of Abyssal Reef Alley in game number 1, we have none other than Team Liquid's MaNa. And he will be playing with the blue Protoss probes. And his opponent spawning in the cross position and playing in red, playing with the red drones. He goes by the nickname of Bly. Now, Bly, over the last couple of months in particular, has really quickly grown to be one of my, favorite players to watch. I mean, generally speaking, with all 3 races, I've been playing a ton of random over the last year or so. With all 3 races, I play a relatively, macro-focused style, right? And I've really come to realize that you can easily reach, top 10 Grandmaster like Bly has done many, many times just by simply playing weird and hyper-aggressive games. He's easily one of the most aggressive Zerg players in the world as it is right now. Regardless, though, we see a little bit of a skirmish right here between the workers already. Bly and MaNa actually try. Oh my god, that was really cute. That was a really cute little move. Bly did not want his hatchery to get blocked right there, so he ended up setting the drone in a bit of a weird angle, and eventually, apparently, the probe ended up going to the 3rd base, scouting out whether or not that one went up first, and actually another drone may very well try to sneak by, and it does look like Bly may be going for a 3rd hatchery before putting up a spawning pool right on the other end of the map as well, which is a little bit risky, judging by that production tab. Meanwhile, on the other end of the map, we do see 2 gateways go down already, as well as a cybernetics core. So Liquid MaNa definitely has got the option to go for a quick expansion, but there's a chance that he's going to open up with double adepts. And of course, if you go for a super late spawning pool, only just now is that building going down, you will run into a little bit of trouble. Of course, MaNa does realize, hey, there's only a single drone in that gas geyser. What exactly is going on? And he's gonna realize here that indeed that 3rd hatchery is already up. This may very well force him to delay the Nexus. No, he does decide to go ahead and just simply plant it down anyway, but I wouldn't be surprised if he plans on getting at least a little bit aggressive here once he saves up the resources to start up that 2nd adept here as well. Overlord, of course, will be able to make its way here very shortly. It will be able to figure out roughly what is going on. Judging by the timing of that Nexus, though, Bly will be able to figure out that indeed he's going to be up against a little bit of aggression. I mean, that Nexus is rather late, comparatively speaking, compared to, for example, like a Nexus first or a gateway into a Nexus. This is going to be quite a bit of aggression right now coming out of MaNa. He's already starting up that 3rd adept right now as well, switching over to Chrono Boost. We'll have to keep an eye out right here what his follow-up is going to be, because as it is right now, he's got no tech structure taken just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a starport or maybe a robotics facility here in just a second. Meanwhile, though, there is indeed a little bit of a skirmish going on here on the other end of the map. I mean, there's a handful of Zerglings out right now, but that is not going to be enough to deal with these adepts. And actually, already quite a little bit of pressure is being done just in the sense of lost mining time. We now do see the adepts trying to shade towards that 3rd. I wonder if they're going to commit. It does look like they will. They're going to be able to get into that 3rd base and at the very least, slow down the Zerg's economy, right? And the fact of the matter is, if you're going to go against a Zerg player, right, and you can prevent them from making drones, you're going to be a happy Protoss, in particular if you don't lose any of these units. He's going to try and do whatever damage he can, picking up a couple of probes here and there, forcing his opponent to make a ton of Zerglings, and once again, Liquid MaNa is doing a great job right here at holding his opponent back. Now, eventually, we do see that Twilight Council going up. So there's the Adept upgrade right here for MaNa. There's no, particular amounts of tech just yet. But so far, ooh, this is actually... oh, okay, I like this a lot, actually. I was going to say, so far, this is starting to look a little bit scary here for Bly. But Bly, I mean, he's got that evolution chamber coming in, and judging by the amount of Zerglings that are currently on the production tab, I think he's going for a Dropper-Lord. I think he's planning to drop Zerglings into his opponent's main base, and this is one of the things that he is most definitely well known for. Not a lot of Zerg players will be following it up with something like this. Most of them will switch into heavy droning, and while Liquid MaNa is planning to get really aggressive here as well, it actually may look like Bly has figured out exactly what is going on. He's going to try and see what's up. Yeah, he will be able to find that there is going to be a little bit of aggression here on the other end of the map, and while there are 2 gatekeepers here ready to defend against it, the Dropper Lord is now also ready to go to town, and we got both players opening up extremely aggressively. They're gonna both try and deal as much damage to each other as they possibly can. Roach Warren going down right now, completing that wall off as well on the other end of the map here on the top of the ramp with an evolution chamber, and that means that these Zerglings are gonna be able to go to town right here in the main base of the Protoss for quite a little bit of time. If the Protoss decides to counterattack right now, you're not gonna be able to do a whole lot. Of course, there are defensive adepts available right now as well. There's no upgrade on them just yet, so that does mean they will have reduced attack speeds, or not as much as they potentially could have. And so many probes actually do end up falling. We see that skip, of course, on the mothership core. No photon overcharges available just yet. And now the adepts do start moving here on the other end of the map, but I wonder, is it not already a little bit too late? I mean, so many probes end up falling. Some beautiful hold position micro here, though, from the Protoss player. He's going to be able to keep these units alive for a significant amount of time, but at this point, I mean, the adepts are forced to move all the way across. Roaches, 9 of them are already in the production tab, and I think that this may just simply be too much damage right here, done by Bly in game number 1. I mean, sure, these adepts are going to be a little bit of a nuisance, but 21 workers going down is most definitely more than you want to have deal with, or you want to deal with right now as a Protoss player. These adepts are going to have to go somewhere. They get surrounded in the main, and Bly picks up the victory in game number 1. It's kind of fascinating though, because I play a ton of StarCraft myself, right? And I'm one of those guys that would start making drones as well if I were to be in that situation that Bly was in game number 1, right? But instead, he just simply put down an evo chamber and started dropping the main base. I mean, it's not a particularly, like, super difficult thing to execute, but coming up with it on the fly and making that decision, more importantly, is very, very tricky. Anyway, game number 2 is gonna be on Odyssey LE. Spawning in the bottom right corner, currently 1-0 behind, we have none other than MaNa. And his opponent, of course, in the top left corner, we have none other than Bly. We'll see whether or not Bly has got something special in mind for this one as well. We do see that gateway first here for MaNa, but he's gone for an awfully early probe scout, realizing that he is currently 1-0 behind against one of the cheesiest players on the planet. So he wants to figure out whether or not that hatchery will indeed go down. Oof, just barely does get that hatchery up right there rather early on into this game. So Bly does open up once again with a probably hatch gas pool kind of strategy. We'll see if he's planning to go for that quick second hatchery here as well. Of course, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there's 2 gold bases on this map, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see Bly take one of these awfully early on as well. That does seem the kind of thing that he likes to do. But MaNa, playing the super standard like Protoss kind of style so far in this series, will be able to go for something a little bit more aggressive. He's actually I was assuming that that was going to be a second gateway right there, but no, that is actually a forge. So there's a chance here that MaNa, I mean, I just said he was playing standard, right? There's a chance here that MaNa is going to open up with a bit of a cannon rush. And of course, this pylon has been unscouted thus far. The probe trying to make sure that he gets, you know, as much vision there, or as little vision there as he possibly can. Just simply verifying that the hatchery is there, but that is about it. 2 photon cannons going down here is a big deal. However, Bly scouts it. Bly now sees exactly what is going on. And does he decide to pull the drones? Okay, he decides to not pull the workers. That is a very big deal. 3 photon cannons, though, in this area. And actually, one of them does get cancelled. Does mean that Protoss is going to be able to cancel this hatchery very, very easily. The thing is, though, that drone is already moving. And indeed, oh, whoa, I was going to say, he's looking to take that gold base. And it is going to be happening at this point in the game. The first Zealot now also moving across. Keep in mind, no Nexus down whatsoever here for the Protoss player just yet. So while there is indeed another pylon going up, he does sort of like need to force the cancel here. Another drone though is trying to make his way towards that third base location. Does look like it's merely there to scout whether or not this base is going to be cannon rushed. And yes, indeed, that is going to be the case once again. A lot of aggression coming out of MaNa in this second game right here. You do need about 3 to 4 workers to properly kill a photon cannon while it is building, and 1 drone is not going to be enough. A Zealot now, of course, also joining into this engagement, so that probe will more than likely be able to finish building that photon cannon, and that photon cannon is once again going to be at the very least in range of the mineral line, but it will also be in range right there of the hatchery. So the question is, what exactly is Bly going to follow this up with? So there's a Stargate on the map right now for MaNa. MaNa actually still not going for that Nexus, and I actually love that move because he knows that the Zerg is going to be limited. At this point in the game, there is going to just simply be a Roach Warren out for Bly. So that does mean that Bly is going to be capable of pushing with a couple of Ravagers and whatnot, but he's not going to be able to, you know, just simply walk past these... that gold, by the way, does get cancelled, but he's not going to be able to just simply walk past these photon cannons very easily. He's going to have to try and kill those. Now, photon cannons do not outrange these Ravager corrosive bios, but... at this point, like, even if Zerg was planning to get really aggressive, MaNa can just simply go ahead and chrono boost something like, for example, a what's it called, a Void Ray out, and he will be absolutely safe. I actually really like this move, though. Judging that his opponent indeed does have Ravagers and Roaches out, he's just simply gonna build up that Oracle instead. And Oracle's, of course, great at defensive capabilities as well. This Hero Zealot will have to get on out of there if he does plan to live another day. He's running through the water right now, but I'm assuming that these Ravagers, and this must be a pretty terrible thing in a Protoss's, you know, Zealot life, these Ravagers are gonna be able to catch up with him reasonably easily, and I think indeed that was his life for ire right there. A little bit of cheeky micro there, though. Did you see that? That was pretty cute right there. Trying to make the most out of these bushes. Anyway, the first Oracle has now already made its way across the map. Second Queen finishing up at a brilliant timing. I mean, that was almost as perfect as it could be right there on that second Queen timing. With a single Queen, it's going to be very, very tricky. But even then, though, the Oracle is still dealing a bunch of damage. Already picking up 4 workers. And more importantly, the unit is still alive. If he picks up a Ravager as well, that's a huge, huge deal. That Ravager is, of course, almost, you know, almost as expensive already as this Oracle. And this Oracle is going to keep on going, zapping away at as many of these units as he possibly can. Nice little bit of aggression right here. I like it. MaNa is adapting to the scenario, right? He knows that his opponent is going to be capable of playing a little bit cheesy, playing a little bit unorthodox. So what if he just simply plays that style himself, right? And at this point, I mean, it's paying off. Once again, we do see some more continued harass here by that Oracle, actually bruising a couple of these drones. A little bit sloppy right there. Look at that. Looks like he almost managed to get 4 of them, but then, you know, he didn't get actually any of them. That's a little bit greedy there. Regardless, though, actually, no. A bunch of them did get picked up right there by the second Oracle as well. Excuse me, that was a slight mistake right there by me. I was going to say that's a little bit wasteful. But in total, 8 workers do end up falling here. Third Oracle now also joining in. But when it comes to the worker count, right, and that is what this game is oftentimes decided by, it is currently 35 probes versus only 21 drones. And that's a huge deal. Now, there are 4 queens out. They're going to be good against defense right now. And, of course, they don't cost any larva. But what exactly is Bly going to follow this up with? Is he planning to go for example, a roach push? Is he planning to go for, you know, a Nidus network? I wouldn't be opposed to that with this many queens. Or is he just simply going to walk across the map? Are you just simply going to walk across the map with queens? It's going to take about 4 years. Oh, no, well, the Oracles were not expecting that whatsoever. They do get that revelation off, so they will be able to, you know, keep track of exactly where these queens are located. But this is going to be a little bit funny here. I mean, MaNa is going to have all the time in the world to prepare against this shenanigans. And I actually like this a lot. He's going for a defensive Dark Shrine. That is not an offensive Dark Shrine, and this doesn't happen very often, but he recognizes, or he's recognized right now that there is no lair down for his opponent anywhere, so there's not going to be any detection out. Zerg needs to get those. Oh my god, that is so cool. I've not seen anyone do that. Like, that is very, very uncommon to go for defensive Dark Shrine. Pretty much all of the mid-game pushes from Zerg are, you know, focused around Roach speed or Hydra speed or Baneling speed or any of these, like, upgrades, right? And at this point, I mean, if you don't have that lair, you're not going to be able to afford the Overseers either. And while, you know, the Ravagers are just simply trying to bile down these Oracles, and that would be all fine and dandy, that Dark Shrine will finish up in just a matter of seconds. And I think that will be able to shut this down, because at this point, there's not even a lair started. There's not going to be an Overseer out, and I think that this is going to be a very, very tricky engagement right here to hold. Not entirely sure about that warp in position right there, although those were the Dark Templar. The Dark Templar could have been biled right there, which would have been a little bit risky, but of course, Bly assumed he would just be able to go for the, you know, for the aggression right there. But look at this. This is going to be such a painful little push. Accidentally corrosive biling a bunch of his own units as well, just to try and desperately get these Dark Templar out of the equation. But he's trying to decide here what he needs to do. This is an uncommon scenario to be in. Usually, I've not really seen Bly play very, you know, very like undecidedly, I suppose, but with some beautiful defense there. Liquid MaNa manages to defend this aggression with Dark Templar. Now, I would love to see him go for the counter attack here. Of course, there are spore crawlers out there, which are also detectors. The hatchery will now also be morphed into a lair. There are still an awful lot of Zerglings here, though, but still. Like, the Dark Templars, their DPS, their damage per second is ridiculously high, and really, all that MaNa lost right there was just simply a single gateway and a couple of units along the way as well. Oracle once again made their way across the map. They're going to try and do as much damage as they can, just simply preventing mining here at this third base location. Wasting a bunch of energy right here. I would like to see him actually cancel that, but you can see the amount of damage that they do to a building is actually pretty substantial. And actually, hold that thought. I assumed that he was making a mistake. Is he going to be able to kill that base with Oracles? No. No. In the meantime, though, a whole lot of Zerglings have managed to make their way inside of the main base. I think that this may actually end up almost killing that base. Are you kidding me? I thought it was a mistake, but it was not. At the same time, though, 11, 14 probes, 15 probes have already gone down. And while that Nexus ended up, or while those Oracles ended up killing the hatchery right there, those Zerglings right here are doing a ton. Those Zerglings are absolutely crucial at this point in the game. The thing is, though, there's still not a whole lot of... Oh my god, that's sad. Sad Ravager sadly accidentally ended up corrosive biling himself. But at this point in the game, I mean, these Zerglings are forcing Liquid Mana to go for the all-in. The question is, does he have enough stuff? Does he have enough units here to finish off the last of these Zerg units? Because these probes that ended up falling here, that is a huge deal. I don't even know how Bly managed to sneak all these Lings in there. Now, Beautiful Force there picks up pretty much 2 of those units for free. Corrosive Biles once again going down. A couple of these Immortals do end up, you know, eating some of them, but of course the amount of damage that they provide to armored units in particular is absolutely menacing. And Liquid Mana, even though he ended up losing way more probes than he wanted to, but just a couple of Zerglings that happened to get into his main base, he had more than enough to clean up game number 2. And there we have it, the final game in this best of 3 series, and it looks like we are indeed going to be on Sequencer LE. Spawning in the top right corner, playing with the red Protoss probes, we have none other than MaNa, and his opponent spawning all the way on the other end of the map, and I believe this is the biggest map in the current map pool, we have none other than Bly. I actually really do like this though. MaNa once again going for that quick probe scout to try and figure out what it is his opponent is going for. I mean, so far Bly has indeed been opening up pretty economically focused in all of the games that we have seen, but once again he is known as one of the cheesiest players on the ladder, so that does mean that he's going to be capable of playing hyper aggressive if he so decides to choose. And of course MaNa wants to know whether or not that is going on as early as he possibly can. Gateway going down right now as well for MaNa, so he's not planning to get very aggressive like he did in game number 2. Of course, there's still a chance that he's going to follow this up with a Forge as well, but he's already made his way across the map, and it looks like indeed, yes, Bly will be forced to take the base right here on the left-hand side instead. Now, this base is actually a little bit interesting. It's only got 6 mineral patches and 1 gas geyser, opposed to the standard 8 mineral patches plus the 2 gas geysers, so this base will mine out rather quickly, meaning that later on into this game in about, I would say about 10 or so minutes, that Fort base most definitely needs to be up and running if he wants to continue mining efficiently. We do indeed see that follow-up, by the way, as well with the spawning pool right here, as well as the extractor. And actually, on the other end of the map, we do also see the Nexus going down. So I'm expecting a Cyber Core. A Cyber Core. There we go. As well as more and more probes into this gas geyser very shortly, as well as a pylon and then the second gas. If that is the case, we are in for a relatively standard game, where we do indeed see that assimilator going down. No second pylon just yet, but I'm expecting that that one's going to be on top of the ramp, somewhere along this line right here. And indeed, that is going to be the case. MaNa will be able to open up very, very standardly. Bly may have been looking right there to go for a quick third base. Looks like he has decided against it though, because he's gonna try and see whether or not there's once again a cannon rush going down with a single drone. It is not going to be the case right now, so he just simply starts mining from the second hatchery that he's got at this point in the game. Queen going down right there as one. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a relatively quick third base follow-up. We do also see 4 Zerglings here to, you know, be ready against the first Adept that may make his way across the map. But more importantly, of course, he's going to be able to use that to scout out where that Protoss probe went. And it's very important as a Zerg player to clean up that very first Protoss scout, just because it can put down all kinds of pesky little pylons later on, and he does indeed end up finding it. So that's a very nice thing. Stargate going down right now as well for Liquid Mana. So really, we are playing a quote-unquote standard macro game so far. I mean, we all know the players in this match. There's most definitely a chance of, for example, like an overall drop in the near future. I mean, the investment that Zerg needs to make is rather small, in particular when you already do indeed have 4 Zerglings out at this point in the game. But that Stargate is going to be, you know, it's probably going to produce a single Oracle or maybe 2 Oracles and then go into some, you know, potential like Phoenix production here as well. There's always a chance, of course, that he will commit for a little while longer, but knowing Liquid's Mana mid-game, generally speaking, he's going to stick with his, you know, beloved Adept strategy instead. Another gateway now also going down. There's a third hatchery also morphed in right now. And once again, actually, yeah, I was going to say, we do see a couple of Zerglings moving out across the map. I did see the evolution chamber, which I think is placed right here. He's going to be capable of once again going for a little bit of a drop play. Now, the Adept does move over in this area. It is looking for it. It is looking for it, but it's not going to be able to catch it just yet. The thing is, this map is a little bit funny. You can't quite drop into the main base, but of course, if you know that your opponent walled off at the front, you probably are going to be able to sneak into the main just by simply dropping right here over at the third base. And actually, MaNa just barely moving that adept out of vision range, and these Zerglings will be able to land on the other end of the map, you know, from where they spawned. And they're going to be able to start nibbling away at this mineral line very, very quickly. The Oracle, however, now also moving across, and we'll need to keep an eye out on that one, because as it is right now, I have not seen any Spore Crawlers go down. There's also no second queen here, so they're going to be able to, you know, take an eye for an eye if they're not careful. I mean, so many probes do already end up falling, though, but there we go. The Oracle is going to go after this mineral line, and indeed, look at that. The amount of damage being done here on both sides is pretty menacing. So far, though, sadly, that Adept is not going to be able to block these Zerglings from running into the natural, and the harassment will continue here for the time being. There's already 9 probes that ended up falling here, and all things considered, this engagement is most definitely going in favor right now of the Protoss, or of the Zerg player. I mean, even though these Zerglings were sacrificed, right, they're easy to replace, and once again, we do indeed see that pylon right there at the top of the ramp to really, like, secure that wall in, and I'm not even sure if he would have been able to do this. However, continued harassment right now with Zerglings, and I wonder, is Bly not simply overcommitting to this aggression, while the Zerglings have indeed unloaded once again, and there's also a handful trying to make their way into the natural from another angle. There's gonna be a full wall of right now at the top of the ramp. Beautiful little play right there by MaNa, really preventing his opponent from getting on in there. He's going to cancel that pylon and start up the Twilight Council as well, and I think that that is all she wrote for these handful of Zerglings as they're desperately trying to make the way towards the mineral line, but they will not live to fight another day. Now, of course, both players are fully aware that the game is not decided at that point, right? They're already starting to build up that economy once again. Bly building up towards a lair. He's going to be capable of starting up some more higher tier production, but more importantly, he's also starting up the Mailing Nest, and I think it's going to be very, very important. There's already a lot of Adepts now moving across the map. Now, you got to keep in mind the Twilight Council is only just now finishing up, so they do not quite have the Adept upgrade, and the question is, are they going to be able to make their way towards the mineral line? There are already somewhere a lot of Zerglings out. Actually, no, they're just finishing up. I was going to say, I saw 28 Zerglings on the production tab just now. They're going to be able to surround this easily. Yeah, no, there we go. They're just simply going to go ahead and surround this easily. And look at the amount of queens available right now as well. Going after these Adepts, just barely not picking up the kill on the one in the back. And it looks like this attack has been deflected. Wow, okay, that was a very clean defense right there by the Zerg player, sacrificing some economy early on, but he's going to drone up extremely aggressively right at this point in the game. Now, MaNa still does not quite have his third Nexus down. He's going to be capable of starting that one up right now at 6.5 minutes. But usually this base, just for a point of reference, I guess, and actually it may be forced to get cancelled once again. Normally this Nexus goes at the very latest up, right around, I would say 5 minutes. That's like the latest. There are players that take it like 3.5 minutes into the game. Now, of course, this match was all about early game aggression, but that third is a very, very late one. More gateways, however, being added on there, and there's absolutely no way that the Zerg can scout this at this point in the time. At this point in the game, I mean, there are no overlords or overseers or anything nearby, so it does mean that Liquid MaNa will be able to finish up these gateways. And there's now also a robotics facility, so I think a War Prism will come out of that one very shortly to start zapping away once again using these Adepts, or I guess the Adepts, I don't know, they throw balls kind of things, right? I guess they don't really zap away. Regardless, though, they're going to be able to start dealing damage here to the mineral lines very shortly. But the thing is, I think that Bly already has got more than enough economy to deal with this. He just needs to sniff out that this is going on. He's going for that very scary Hydra Baneling composition that so many Protoss players absolutely hate playing against. And there are some arguments going around the internet right now that it may be a little bit too strong with the recent nerfs, of course, to the Adept, and then also the buffs to the Hydras and the Banes. The Hydra Bane composition has become the mid-game standard for Zerg players, and the thing is, this is only an Adept-based army. I already see 10 Banelings being morphed in right now, and maybe there will be a handful of drones that can go down here, but I'm a little worried for MaNa, because MaNa is going to be in for a world of trouble if he makes his way across the map. Now, I do like this one. He's loading up War Prisms right now with the Adepts, and I think that he's planning to, like, maybe drop off over here. Yeah, I do like that move a lot. If he manages to do a big warp in into the third base and push at the fourth here at the same time, he's going to be in a pretty menacing force. But actually, a couple of Banelings now made their way across the map. Beautiful response time by the Protoss player. They will not be able to get the detonation that they were looking for, though. But at the same time, the Adepts have now indeed made their way across, but there are so many Zerg Zerg units here ready to defend against this already. Shade ability being activated right away. They want to go towards that natural. Adepts are being dropped off here at the third base location. Looks like they will be cleaned up. Shade does get cancelled, by the way, so these units are looking like they need to go ahead and split up. They will be able to do so very efficiently at the same time. A bunch of adepts made their way into the main base. They are all clumped up though, so they will not be able to deal the damage that they were really looking for. And while there are indeed... Ooh, a War Prism does also end up falling. While there are indeed... You know, 7 drones that ended up falling, and maybe this hatchery will go down as well, although I'm kind of doubting it. I mean, look at the amount of army here that's available for the Zerg. I don't think there was a successful attack here whatsoever for MaNa. Now, MaNa is indeed following this up with a lot more production. Yeah, he's now also going for, indeed, the High Templar, so he will be able to morph in Archons. He will be able to go for that robotics facility, so maybe even double Colossi production in just a little bit. But, of course, the Immortal Archon Ball is extremely good at stopping the Hydra Bane shenanigans. Now, look at this. The Zerglings now are indeed moving across the map. And while currently the army supply is in favor here of the Protoss player, or of the Zerg player, I highly doubt he's really going to be able to do a whole lot. I mean... At this point in the game, we all know the defensive capabilities of Protoss. He's going to be able to go for, indeed, those stasis wards. He's going to be able to go for the photon overcharges. This is going to be a very tricky engagement here for the Protoss player to lose. Now, one thing to keep in mind, though, is that this is a huge point of weakness on this map for the Protoss player. I would love to see Bly take down these rocks right now. And actually... yeah, it looks like he may very well be going after those rocks right now as well, and that is going to be a little bit tricky. Once again, a couple of Banelings actually made their way towards the third base location. They are spotted here, but the probes are not moving. Ooh, I think that... oh, yeah, no, actually, MaNa was assuming that they would be cleaned up in time from those photon overcharges, but not actually the case. 7 probes do end up falling here. Now, there is more than enough Protoss army to try and deal with this. Of course, these Banelings can do a lot of damage, but Archons can take up to about 18 or so, 18 or so detonations here if they are not careful. Once again, a couple of Banelings moving in here as well. Main army now also moving onwards. These probes will end up taking a lot of damage. At the same time, a bunch of the natural will end up falling, at 15 probes in total. That is much more than you want at this point in the game. If you are a Protoss player, you can easily rebuild them, but it's going to be a very big loss. Protoss player actually sort of caught on the wrong end of this engagement. He's trying to make his way into his own base. Zerglings managed to make their way into that mineral line. Mothership core ends up falling there to these Hydras, but the Zerg forces are kind of stuck here. The thing is, though, are they not just simply dealing way too much damage? Look at the amount of probes that end up falling there. 33 in total. And Bly, I mean, I named it right there as well, right? I mean, these rocks are a huge point of weakness. You need to make sure that you take control of the top of that ramp if you are the Protoss player, because if you don't already have these debris knocked down as well, you're gonna be in a world of trouble, because Zerg is gonna be able to attack at every single angle. And with that, Mothership core gone right now as well, these Zerglings are gonna have a field day. They're gonna try and start kneeling. Oh my god, look at this. The upgrades here for the Zerg are looking absolutely terrifying, and more importantly, there's now also a Spire going down. There's very little anti-air available other than just a handful of Archons here and a single Phoenix. I think that a Muta switch right now, a Mutaling Bane, is going to be an extremely powerful force here to try and deal with all of these units. More and more Hydras, however, are going down. Once again, a couple of Banelings will be ready towards that currently empty third Nexus, and I mean, the only thing I really can see MaNa getting back into is if he would be able to make his way across the map here by being mostly unscouted. Now, there are some stasis wards there. That is a huge deal. That will give him quite a bit of time to continue onwards right here. But of course, once that stasis wards runs out, I mean, look at these Banelings. They were like, hey, we're supposed to blow up, mineral lines. What's going on here? There's nothing. He's already killed all of it several times, and now the Zerglings are going to be able to start dealing damage here as well. The Gatekeeper right there at the front does end up taking a bunch of damage, but there are still a lot of Protoss units here available, though. Of course, these Archons, I believe they can take about 18 Baneling hits each. That is a huge amount, and I wonder, though, there's just simply no economy anymore. There's only 5 probes remaining, and I think that this is going to be a last-ditch effort by MaNa, trying his very best to make a final stand, but he says, GG, I deserve to lose that game, and Bly ends up obtaining the victory in this best of 3 series. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button down below, and if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. And other than that, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you in the next one.